Hello, everyone, and welcome to Magus of the League. I'm Liban, and this is my co-host / Magus of the League, Chris York.
Hello.
We have been away for a while, Chris. So
we took a break.
Yeah. So start off by wishing everyone a happy New Year.
Bonne année.
A happy League year. Yeah. You know, good luck to many, many people.
Especially, and I was going to put that right in there, especially Justin Pigeon, who has won the 2018 Player of the Year.
Yeah, official news.
Just wrapping that up.
Yep. That is it. So 2019, fresh year. Leagues are wrapping up. New leagues are coming. So we'll start off. This is a video podcast, Magus of the League, where we talk about Magic Sealed League as a format. So for the uninitiated, that is Sealed League is a 60-card format, lasting 5 to 9 weeks, although can last longer apparently.
Yeah.
Where you
unlikely.
We used to say 5 to 8, and now just as it grows, you know.
As it grows.
Where you add a single pack of Magic from the format every time you lose a match until you are either eliminated after your 11th loss, or you make it to the glorious ranks of the Mega Drafters.
Indeed.
Which we're about to have soon. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be among the elect this time.
Yeah.
You're
gonna have to fight for it. You've had to fight for it for the last couple of leagues.
Well, ever since you started playing.
Coasting in there.
Ever since you've been playing, Lee. I don't know. Maybe there's only room for one Magus of this league.
Yeah.
I'm getting that feeling.
Has become the apprentice.
Well, I think so. Yeah. We had a little showdown at Donut Shop Showdown on Friday, and you schooled me the hard way.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I mean, you still peeled the game off me. You know, there's people that I just 2-0 and move on. You know.
That's a little consolation prize.
There you go.
I mean, I might not make the top 8, but I peel the game off.
My understanding is it comes in waves, so I'm expected to take a beating in the next league, you know. It's luck of the draw, whatever you get in your packs that you can utilize to your advantage.
I don't think it's that simple. I think possibly it's what you do with those cards, too.
You gotta let me stay under the radar a bit, though. You know,
he's public enemy number 1.
Yeah, it was so hard to get matches this week, but
well, that brings us to the Chaos League catch up.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So as you're saying, we're in the end game. It's week 8 now.
Yep.
It's looking like it's going to be a week 9.
Yes, it's a guaranteed week 9.
Really?
Maybe.
We got different definitions of guarantee.
Well, I think so. We were 12 players starting the week.
We lost one. Mark Shiloh has just been eliminated.
You were at the 9th position. Correct?
I was in the 8th.
You were in the 8th position, right? And you have gone into hiding because you've been locked in at 14-10, right? Because of myself. But I'm just saying, strategically speaking, you should be in hiding. Like, don't follow the Chris Gort's temptation again.
No. I'm not going to go down that path of sorrows.
So the standings have to. One of the things about leagues is it's not just about survival, is the standings have to change, right?
Yeah.
So for the week to end, someone would have to eliminate you and push you out of the 9th or 10th spot or whatever. So unlikely that it ends this week, I think.
As far as I understand, the top 8 are locked.
Correct.
And the bottom 3 are not. Yeah. So if those 3 go out and we end the week with a perfect 8 players, then the league just ends then.
That's true. So
there is a possibility for those 3 players to get knocked out. But one of those
3 players can survive the week by playing less than 3 matches, right? Or 2 or so of them. Well, Tony only needs 2 matches to win, and then he doesn't have to play his 3rd.
Oh, I know, but he has to survive.
Julian, I think, at this only has to win 1 more match, and then he can hide.
Really?
I think so.
No, I think he had to play 3 this week.
Yeah.
And he had to win them all.
Did he have to win them all? I thought he only had to win.
He was 10 losses last week.
Okay.
So, Tony, got to play 2, win 2. Julian,
got to play 2, win 2.
Got to play 3, win 1.
Well, he's already won 1.
He's got to play 2, win 2 now.
Flash news, he already won 1.
Okay. And the last suspect on our list of rogues was whom? Memories. I mean, you've been studying the standings.
Mark was eliminated today.
Yep.
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. A little bit of mystery there.
Isn't there a second Scott who's lowered down?
No, Scott. The other Scott is gone.
Yeah.
As of last week.
So I can't remember who is the.
So I'm pretty sure that that 3rd person also has to either play 2, win 2, or play 3, win 3. Anyway, the odds of one of them breaking through
the odds of all of them breaking through is low.
Oh, yeah.
The odds of one of them breaking through is pretty high.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not locked.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, so here's the point.
Yeah.
We are going into a likely but not certain week 9.
Yeah.
Of the last 12 players, there were 3 who were completely new to League for the first time. So that's a 25%, first player going straight to the top.
Yeah.
That's a great success rate for new players. And I think it shows that the format is fairly beginner friendly.
Yeah. It's open to anyone.
Yeah.
People with an understanding of the limited formats and Magic can just jump in and
swim well.
Swim well. Very aggressive.
And in fact, beat the snot out of people like me who sit on their thrones smugly, ridiculing the lower downs until
you started off pretty high up too in the league.
I started up at the top,
big old
ranks.
fall from grace. So
yep,
yeah,
it's a sad story, but I never left the top 8 since the beginning.
Yeah,
as of yet. This next week will probably, unless the week ends now.
Yeah, which you're hoping for.
then I will never leave the top 8. But if it goes to week 9, I'll probably be in the 9th position or 10th position.
All right. So I have just one question to kind of wrap up on the point because Chaos League has been fun. We talked a lot about it.
We had an episode dedicated to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going into the Mega Draft. Now, the Mega Draft in this situation is going to be particular, right?
Yeah.
Because we're each getting a Chaos pool.
Yeah. Just like you started with.
Yeah. So it's possible that people have the same packs across the table, but you will not have.
You'll never have the same 6 packs as any other player.
Oh, really? It's guaranteed that every single pack at the table is
not every single pack, but of the 6 packs that you get, they will be non-identical with any other 6 packs.
So, the combination.
So there could be overlap.
Yeah.
But you'll never have an identical pool.
So, do you have any insight strategy for going into that? I've already commenced my mental preparation for these.
Yeah. Well, I'm not locked, so I suppose I haven't put in as much mental effort into it. But
I think the real question is so typically when we do a mega draft, the big difference is you open in chronological order.
Yes.
Right? So you can do a lot of mental preparation to know what's coming, when to pick your removal.
You can plan it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the plan is you don't know what you're getting, but you can choose the order that you want.
You can choose the order.
So I think the only real question when it comes down to is when do you open your one Masters pack? Look, that's a kind of delayed gratification question, right?
Is it better to save your dessert until after dinner or just gobble it up?
I think there's a huge strategic weight. So depending on the Masters pack that you get, the power level can be significantly higher or lower.
I think if it's a Masters set, the potential is there for the power to be great.
Yes, exactly.
So you want to open it first.
Do you want to open your power first?
Of course you do. Because then it's going to set the tone for the rest of the draft, right? Let's say you open Jace, pack 1. Maybe you want to prioritize blue cards, I'm thinking.
Yeah. But the question is, right, if everybody acts that way, if you open your crap first, then they're going to be passing you, not necessarily bomb rares, but they're going to be passing you high power level commons and uncommons. And you can use that to leverage your build and save your Masters pack for the end when they're already in their set in their colors, and it might not benefit them. And to be honest, I'm going to probably be leaning towards that.
It's a bit of a coordination problem. Yeah. Which makes it even more interesting than your usual mega draft.
Because I think there's a meta game to it that, if we were all opening at the same time, if we were let's decide this one, that one, then all at the same time, and everybody was opening their Masters at the same time, I would be on the same level as you. I think my Masters pack is going to probably be my 3rd or last pack. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Saving it for last.
Yeah.
The dessert after the meal.
Exactly. I think the reason being is, like I said, is that if everybody else is opening their Masters pack, I want to see what kind of uncommons I'm going to pull out of my Masters before I open my Masters pack. So, because there's some stinky mythics in the Mythic pack, in the Masters pack.
Yeah.
The reason being is because the value mythics are there too, so the power level can be real high. And we all know, we're all human. We're going to rare draft those anyways. So, the impact, I get it. You get a Jace the Mind Sculptor, you're going to take it. But what's the impact of a Tarmogoyf in a limited format? It's not great,
True.
So having better options and knowing your direction earlier can be taking the Tarmogoyf is basically taking a turn off. Whereas opening a crappier pack early, taking the Tarmogoyf once you've already built is not, you get that premium removal.
You talked me into it. Yeah. You talked me into it. I see the logic.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people who can't wait to open their Masters pack.
Yeah, just crack the first round,
like rabid
monkeys.
We'll
be waiting for them. If they watch this, they'll know we'll be waiting for them.
Well, that's why they should watch this show.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
All right.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, I think that you're right to value consistency over bombs. You can splash bombs. You can't splash consistency.
That's true. That's true.
So, saving the dessert till the end is actually, I think...
And fixing is a real it's better than draw, I find, in this format.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Does that logic change if everybody adopts your strategy? If everyone holds their Masters packs back to the very end, does it then make sense to be like one of the first to get in there?
I think that's why I said third or sixth.
Okay, depending what other people do.
Well, yeah, also it depends on what I see. So, I know, like, the Masters pack that we saw in the initial pools weren't like Masters 2015, 2017. Not saying that we can't. The vast majority of them were Eternals, Iconic, and we'll probably get some Ultimate. Maybe. That being said, the Iconic Masters cycle that was very powerful were the 5 dragons.
Yeah.
You know? The Praetors were the Eternal ones.
Yep.
So, knowing that, you can't build around a rare. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, oh, you know, Muldrifter was an Eternal, Counterspell was an Eternal. If you're like, oh, I'm blue and I haven't seen that many Masters packs, I might open on my third just to see if I'm going to hit that now so that I can start building around. Like if I get 2 or 3 pieces of premium removal in that round and one of them came out of my Masters pack early, then I'll be like, okay, you know, I'll build it. But it's going to be depending on what people are doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. And look, if I happen to open up a bonkers, you know, red, blue, you know, Izzard pool, and then there happens to be, you know, some Ravnica themed set in my pool, I'll probably grab that one next and try to build on that.
Exactly.
You know, while I'm going that direction, see if those, you know, cards can bear out my original plan. Yeah.
And I'll give this as a little tidbit because we have, like you said, 3 new players to the top 8. One of the techniques is I've been using to practice and that I did, I adopted the first time I made a
Draft Sim.
I like Draft Bestiary as well. Draft Bestiary largely because I can get away with it at work. So,
pro tips here. One
is blocked by our work filter and the other one's not because it's old HTTPS PHP files and the other one's JavaScript.
That's great.
So usually I'll just do a draft sim. For this particular one, so when we do Mega Draft, what I usually do is pre-program the 8 packs or 6 packs that we're going to do in order so that I know and get a feel for the order that I'm going to play. Yeah. This one, what I've been doing is redrafting one of each of an old block. So it gives me an idea what's in the block, like from all aspects, what the interactions are, what the synergies are. So, you know, if you're like, hey, cons, I'm like, oh, well, you know, if you're Abzan, you have counters, you have the morph cards that are in there, you know, you have delve at a common level, like busted interactions like that.
Were you playing at that time?
No.
So this is important for you specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
I lived through the cons wars, so I've got a sort of intuitive understanding.
I came back just after cons, so I missed it. I came back at Eldritch Moon. So
I'm so sorry.
No, I like that format. You know,
you like Eldritch Moon?
Well, I liked the lore because I played the original Innistrad.
Okay.
And I liked the whole werewolf thing. Right. And so that's what kind of brought me back in. But
okay.
I liked that format. There was some weird stuff going on there. And the Eldrazi were sweet. But and I had never experienced an Eldrazi because I had skipped BFZ and Original Zendikar as well. So all that to say, just a little tidbit is like if you're... So we have seen kind of what we're getting, you know... Our benefactors have not been putting in the $50 packs. Like, no one got a Lorwyn pack in their original pool.
But they have put in $20 packs.
Yeah, a couple of them, you know.
And, like, Judgment and...
Nemesis and Invasion and all that type of stuff.
Some weird ones.
But strategically speaking, I think everybody got a little bit of Oath, a little bit of BFZ, a little bit of Kaladesh, a little bit of, like, those dragons, you know. So just redoing just that block will give you a lot of ideas of where they're going and what's good in those formats. So that's what I've been doing already. And I already started doing it in the past just because, identifying which pack I wanted to open next. Yeah. The only way to do it is know what the cards are in the set. A good way to learn the cards is just to draft sim. So that was my little tidbit. I've been draft simming for 2 weeks now already. I'm way ahead of the curve.
Well, for people who, do qualify or people who just want to, you know, watch and cheer or jeer, the finals for the Chaos League will take place at 10:30 a.m. on January the 27th, which is to say just before the end of registration for the Ravnican Allegiance Guild.
Yeah, so if you're there for that, you can take your time and register for Ravnican Allegiance Guild.
Yeah.
And then jump into or watch.
And that way you have no overlap between your leagues. Yeah. Right? If you wait till Sunday, play the finals, then immediately just bust your pool for the next league.
That's my plan. I won't be there for the Friday for starting, so I'm just going to get there, play the top 8, open my pool, and see if anybody will stick around and play me.
That's what you call going infinite.
Yeah, going infinite. Just loop.
Yep.
So, that being said, that kind of puts the wrapper on everything that's been going on in 2018.
Yep.
We're ready to start fresh.
We are.
Wizards of the Coast has provided us that opportunity. Throw everything away. You know what it is. You know, we have a league every time there's a new set.
Yep.
We often have fun leagues when there's excess supplementary products, I guess is the term.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new set coming out. Ravnica Allegiance.
Yes.
Fully spoiled.
Fully spoiled.
Fully spoiled.
We know what we're going into.
And there's already card reviews of the sets coming out.
Yep.
The LR review will be out this week.
Yep.
I've seen and the Commander Command Zone has already done their review of the set.
They have. They couldn't wait.
Yeah, they couldn't wait. But they only go after the specific cards,
It's true.
right? They're just like, who could be a good commander?
Yeah.
What's a busted spell? They don't do any of the commons, uncommons.
Yeah.
So.
They cherry pick.
Yeah, they cherry pick.
But here's the thing. We begin the league at the very first moment that the format goes on sale, which is to say at 11 a.m., January 25th. I'll be there. A few other dedicated heads will be there, right?
Yeah.
League heads that, have to play.
The people who take the day off just to go in and open their packs at 11 instead of showing up at 5 p.m. after work like the rest of us. So.
I mean, that's dedication.
Yeah.
And that dedication is sometimes rewarded.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But remember, if you do show up the first thing, you're going to be against people who are league heads.
Yeah.
Who will be, probably well trained in the ways of league, shall we say. And the registration, if you can't make it, sorry, I just want to finish up here.
Sure.
If you can't make it on the 25th, the registration is open for a full 8 days. You can register up until 9 p.m. on February 1st, which is the following Friday.
Yeah.
So anytime during that week, you can come and join. And just like the last one, just like Guilds of Ravnica, at the end of week 2 this time, you'll be assigned to a guild.
Yep.
And if you don't top 8, if you're a new player, you're not confident in your skills, come play anyway. And there's a 1 out of 5 chance, a priori, that your guild is going to get the most accumulated points, and you will get consolation packs, essentially.
Yeah,
just for showing up. You
covered everything I was going to say in that regard when I tried to rudely interrupt you. Okay. But I was just going to say, so there is a benefit to showing up on the first day. That is, there's usually a large pool of players to play with. However,
you can immediately bank those matches.
Yeah.
If you go to day 1 and you stick around for the entire day, you'll have no problem getting in 6 matches. Yeah. And having that extra cushion of that week that you've already played.
And it makes it a lot easier to play through the entire league if you have that cushion, because you can up and down on those games depending on your availability.
Like me right now. This is taking off the rest of the week because I've already put in the work.
I took a 10-day vacation, went to Disney World in the middle of our Chaos League, and I came back and I'm still maxed out this week. So, you can definitely do it. Mm-hmm. However, I will say this, there's no penalty for not accumulating your first minimum 3 in the first week.
Right. End of week 2 is when everything...
Yeah, end of week 2 is when the dust is settled and everybody's considered registered and that. So me, as I know for this time, I won't be registering on the Friday. I'm not available. I'm going to be doing it on the Sunday. And there's usually a bunch of people who register throughout the week. It's pretty easy to get at least your minimum 3 and show up for regular Magic events at Face to Face, who's our generous sponsor, like drafting and fill out your matches then. So
basically, it attracts the same kind of crowd. So whenever there's a limited event at the store, which is to say Tuesday evenings, Friday afternoon and evening, and Sunday all day long.
And Saturday all day long.
They're probably just really
and Wednesday.
Anytime the store's open.
Just walk into the store.
Yeah.
So and if you really want to get a match with Chris York, just walk in at 9 p.m. and suggest Dunkin Donuts. So
I was in a very easily suggestible state at that point.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to know, whether I was going to take the week off. Or
that is my preferred time to play.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that Dunkin Donuts, but it's comfy. It's well lit. The tables are fun.
Full of drug addicts.
There's always an interesting story.
Grumpy staff. Yeah. It's a colorful place.
Yeah.
You want to know the real Verdun? After hours, you go to Dunkin Donuts.
Yeah.
After that 9 p.m. on Friday, you see who shows up. And
that's Verdun.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah. Okay, so excited to see everybody at Ravnica Allegiance League. Our promo for the league, which has also been announced.
Gate Crash Colossus, I think?
Correct. It's I think it's the Gate Guardian or Gate Colossus or something.
The Colossus.
Yeah, he's the Colossus. The one that like costs less for every gate you have him play, and he's a big old dude.
It has some recursion as well.
Yeah, you will not be allowed to play him in the pool, was the decided?
Sadly, no.
By populist vote.
By populist vote.
Yeah.
Against the wishes of the rule committee.
Against
the people rose up and said, hey, guess what? We don't want to play this Colossus, and the rules committee backed down.
Yeah.
And I should say that, at this point, the Ravnica Allegiance is the first league at face-to-face since Battle for Zendikar where I'm no longer on the rules committee.
Oh.
I washed my hands of it, and now I'm just going to be there as a player, enjoying...
Well, thank you for your tenure. So,
well, I appreciate it. I mean, I feel like things can run more or less on their own now. We have a well-experienced core group of players who make the rule committee, and they can do it now.
Yeah. So you're gonna maybe you'll outperform all of us now that your focus is going to be 100% on.
I gotta say, I'm not gonna miss some of the organizational and diplomatic aspects.
97%. I'm not gonna let you off the hook for this.
Well, of course, I'll stick around for the promo committee, and I'll keep taping posters up and recording podcasts, and I'll keep giving back my own way.
Yeah.
I might even be so bold as to suggest some directions to the rules committee, but it's at their discretion whether they accept that advice or not.
And as we've experienced, in terms of rulings, a lot of the time they refer to the players. It's a player and community driven format, so they tend to listen to us, and when there's a mass outcry, it tends to pan out well for the players.
Yeah,
so
that's been the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'll continue to be the case after I'm gone, and I think that all the best of luck to the new regime.
Yeah.
And may they sail us into
brighter future.
Yeah. Overall.
So, or, kill all magic for everyone ever.
Yeah, just really drive the league under.
Yeah. I wasn't talking about league. I was talking about just all of it.
Magic.
And magic forever.
I don't know if they have that power.
I don't think so. So...
okay. I'm looking forward to it, though. Just experiencing it as a player and having the right to complain as a player.
Yeah.
It's complain with everybody else and just really get the kicks in on them,
Yeah. You'll be able to free up that brain space for
That's right.
Applying
for jobs?
I meant for Magic, for League. I don't know about jobs, but I'm just saying, as a general rule, I only think about this and playing, and you've had conversations with me. I'm all consumed by strategy. And
I like that. Yeah. I like the fact that you've taken this format and made it into more of a science than an art, which it was before. Right? So that is your legacy, right? I mean, the fact that what you need to do probably is to systematize all this stuff into a series of articles for our website. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Or we need to do a spin-off podcast where we talk 100% about strategy and no housekeeping or news, Seems like an easier way to do it.
I don't know.
Top subject for another time.
So, we're just spitballing here. This is breaking news.
Yeah. So
anyway, that was in your.
I'm going to put it in. This was all of our housekeeping.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
strategy.
Ravnica Allegiance. Let's talk about strategy.
That's where you want to be.
That's where I want to be.
That's your wheelhouse.
So, all right. Ravnica Allegiance.
Let's get our let's pull our sleeves up here.
5.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, I don't want to stretch this sweater. It means a lot to me. 5 guilds, same as last time. This time we have 3 allied, 2 enemy colors. I believe. Right?
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah, of the guilds. Yes,
of the guilds. Because in the last one we had 3 enemies.
Right.
2
So we got Orzhov and Simek. They're the opposites.
Yeah.
So if you open them, I guess you go back to Ixalan. You get merfolk and vampires.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of merfolk in the set.
Mm-hmm.
There's
going to be a lot of vampires in Orzhov too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
There's a few.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Sure.
We also have Rakdos.
Mm-hmm.
Allied colors. Then Gruul, allied colors.
Azorius,
allied colors, right? So I had that backwards then. It's 2 enemy, 3 allies. Yeah, same old. We've already seen the mechanics for the set. So in order that you mentioned, Orzhov, which is Afterlife.
Yeah.
Immediate value engine.
I love that.
I personally think it's overrated.
Oh, really?
Yes, quite. I was having this discussion. Well, okay, so let's do this one. Let's do them one by one. Let's just go through it. So, Afterlife. Afterlife number. Creature ice. Mm-hmm. You get a 1/1 spirit token with flying.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Which could be relevant. for the number on it. So Afterlife 3 spirits, sure. Afterlife 2 spirits, Afterlife 1 spirit. Yeah. Why do you think it's value? I mean, I know why you think it's value. I know it's value because it's automatically 2 creatures for the cost of 1.
Well, especially, I'm only interested in it in terms of its application to League, which is a special kind of sealed.
Yeah.
So, people are playing Doomed Travelers. People are playing the fellow that turns into a zombie. That guy.
He's in M19 there, Doomed Dissenter.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they're always doomed.
They're all doomed.
Yeah.
So they should call this the Doomed Mechanic.
Doomed Witness was the last one.
They should have called this the Doomed Mechanic.
Hunted Witness was the last one. Yeah, Doomed. They're always, it should have been doomed.
Hunted.
Doomed.
Screwed. Yeah, they're just in trouble.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my point is, people are running these main deck every league because they have this ability to survive board wipes. They have the ability to be sacrificed multiply. They have the ability to be role players in the kind of decks that want them. And I think that, if you have a whole set of creatures, that fill this kind of niche, that's amazingly powerful in our format.
So, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you that, 1-for-1 value, sacrifice synergies, all of these things are something that plays really well into our format.
Yes.
What I have found with my research, my intensive research, is that the commons and the common cards are very expensive. So the Afterlife is way up the curve.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to get that support elsewhere. And the thing is you're kind of giving up the synergies to go get the support, and then giving up the support if you play the synergies. You know what I mean? Like if you stay in Ravnica Allegiance to get, like, as an example, the Pitiless Pontiff, the one that's a 2/2 that if you sack a creature gets Death Touch indestructible end of turn. Mm-hmm. That's a payoff for Afterlife, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get more of those, well, then you're sacrificing the low cost cards like Doomed Traveler, Doomed Dissenter, which play well with that card, for cards that cost 4, like, that don't play well. Because ideally you want to go Doomed Traveler, Pitiless Pontiff, pass, right? Whereas opposed to, you're going Pitiless Pontiff, 4 turns later, Afterlife payoff, And I think that that's the biggest weakness of that set for Afterlife. And I think I was looking at it from a draft perspective too, and that's really where it became obvious to me. I think you might get some nice payoffs, but I think if you're in Orzhov early, you're going to want to go absolutely anywhere but Allegiance to go get that support.
Maybe, but I think that my point stands, and it's this, that really an extra creature inside of another creature, that's just already gravy. Like, if you say to me, for 4 mana, you can either get a 3/3, right? You can get a Hill Giant, or you can get a 2/2 with Afterlife and get a Flying Spirit afterwards. I'm going to take package number 2.
Yeah. But the thing is,
every time.
The thing
that's just that kind of value doesn't need any sort of extra payoff to make it worthwhile.
Agreed, but often that value is given to you. So, there's like what people refer to as the vanilla test, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is that kind of value often comes at a cost where, like you said, you're paying for a 4 mana 2/2, right? If the choice isn't the Hill Giant, if the choice is a 4 mana 4/4 or a 4 mana 3/3 with upside and another ability, or a 4 mana 2/2 with Afterlife, I'll take the other ability no matter what it is, almost.
Well, that does bring us into the other abilities. So let's see what the competition is. Yeah. So if we're going to say that, Afterlife is not the mechanic of the set, let's see what is. Let's go to Adapt.
Adapt, I think, is one of the more busted abilities. So
is that because you've got a predilection towards Simek cards?
I have a predilection towards Teamer cards, but I have played Commander, as many of us have.
It's nice to confess that here.
Yeah, Monstrous is an ability.
You're among friends,
is an ability in Commander, which is A-OK in my book.
It's a mana sink.
A-OK in my book.
Something to do. Late game.
This ability feels like weaker Monstrous. And they already admitted when they were like, oh, we're going to reprint an ability, they reprinted Monstrous, but it's Adapt. The difference is most Monstrous cards, as an example, Pulchronos, have a trigger when you go Monstrous where you deal damage or fight or whatever. The Adapt doesn't have that. We haven't seen a single card with Adapt that has a trigger when it adapts, right?
Sure.
But
if the counters get taken off, somehow you can readapt, so that way it's better than Monstrous.
But if
you have some way of taking those counters off, you can reactivate Adapt.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's Monstrous with upside.
But we haven't seen any of those payoffs, really. There's only been like 1 or 2 abilities. Like everybody was hedging on the fact that they were going to do that, and they really didn't pay us off in that. However,
maybe in the third set they just announced, which was War of the Spark.
War of the Spark.
Maybe in that set,
maybe
it'll all come together
in this format, right? In this league, for the one that I'm going to top 8 again for this purpose, you know, for this purpose, it's not. There's no payoff. However, that being said, built-in combat tricks are value, right? So there's one of the elements that I've just started to understand now, which is virtual card advantage, right? So when someone lines up with you and you have a 3/3 and they have a 4/4, your card is basically useless unless they attack you, because you can take in the damage and then reciprocate, right? But if they don't attack you, your 3/3 it's basically as if you had been removed from the game, pacified, whatever, right? Still there, but it doesn't do anything, right? That's virtual card advantage.
Sure.
Built-in combat tricks are a way of generating automatic, because the thing is like, if you got every turn you attack with an adapt creature that you're attacking before you play stuff on your second main phase, as most people do, right? People are there going, well, I can't block because he's going to pump. I can't
Threat of activation.
Threat of activation, exactly.
Is virtual card advantage.
You see where I'm going with
this. We've been podcasting together for so long.
Yeah.
Here in season 2,
you already knew
finishing his sentences.
You already knew where I was going.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that that's a huge value in any deck, just because, you know, if you're like, you have 4 cards in hand and I attack and you're like, well, I can't play this because he'll just pump. I can't play this because he'll just pump. I can't play this because he'll just pump. Then I'm like, okay, well, don't play anything, and I'll just keep playing.
Not to beat this drum, but that's kind of what I'm talking about with Afterlife.
So
and here's why, because
there's no threat of activation on Afterlife. I just kill your guy and then kill the flyer.
Well, do you kill the flyer? Do you have a blocker for the flyer? Right. So here's the thing: if I'm attacking my 2/2, and you're like, okay, do I let this through? Because I know I can eventually stop the 2/2, but I know I've got no blockers for the 1/1. Flying.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, the threat of the activation of the spirit, leaving the host body, however you want to conceptualize it, that in itself is a kind of threat.
Yeah.
Of the trigger being activated.
I'll put this advice out there. So there was a lot of people that are like, do you really want to make the trade?
I'm
just aggressive. Yeah. Do you really want to make the trade if it gives them a 1/1 flyer that you can't block?
Yeah.
I would say this. If you have an opportunity to make a clean trade and give them a 1/1 flyer without it costing you a creature, always take it.
Sure.
100% of the time. Even if it's early and you're like, I don't want to give them a 1/1 flyer. The reason being is, if they get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it starts to become a problem that you need to worry about. If you only get a 1/1 flyer, there's the simple math is 20 turn lethal and a 4/4 that's 5 turn lethal, you'll win the race, At some point, you always have to be thinking about the race of life total. And if they were attacking you with a 3/3 and you can trade that 3/3 off for a 1/1, you just tripled the amount of cards that you're going to draw versus that player, And I think I get what you're saying that in terms of value, but I think the thing about the adapt versus the afterlife is that you're not giving your opponent that choice. You maintain the choice.
Well, that's the other thing, though. Like sometimes, like you attack with your 2/2 adapt, and you assume that you have this virtual card advantage, but then they block, and then you are forced to adapt.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're basically getting time walked, and instead of playing your creature second main phase, you're adapting for 1 extra counter to try to get the value.
But the thing is like, you wouldn't attack into a situation where it would trade. You would only adapt into a situation where it's advantages for you, right? Like, you'll attack a 3/3 into another 3/3 if the 3/3 has adapt 1.
But if they have a combat trick, things don't always go the way you plan, right?
Agreed. Right. However,
walking into...
in the grand scheme of things, if they utilize a combat trick to kill your creature that you just adapted, yes, you time knocked yourself, but at the end of the day, all you did was 1-for-1, right? You're taking a hit in terms of tempo, right? But in the grand scheme of cards, you are not losing the game yet. If it was a situation,
hopefully.
However, in an afterlife situation where they have a thing that exiles you, what bonus do you have? And not to mention, if they block and just use a combat trick, they haven't really lost anything. It's 1-for-1 also in their favor, and they still have this. It's same advantage, except you can still play something, But I think you're trading off the time walk from the mana ability for a bigger threat of activation.
I feel like adapt is going to be good in those league decks where you've got a defensive early game, you've got a late game that wants mana sinks, and you have a lot of clowns that you can just push mana into and make them stronger more effective.
And I'm going to say this. I think the strongest color of this set, where it was the weakest color in the last one, I think the strongest color is green. Yeah. I think by far it's green. And I think that also the green-blue abilities letting you draw. So one of my favorite cards of the set is Seb McKinnon art, Nature Spiral.
It's a lovely card.
It's a lovely card. So having the ability to draw and then play an extra land.
Instant speed, right?
Instant speed.
Yeah.
You know, is fantastic. And that kind of fixing in our format is absurd. You know, like being like, hey, I just draw and immediately fix myself on the same turn that I played it, you know, and then draw one drop or bolt or whatever. It's ridiculous.
Well, think about this. Yeah. You've got the two colors that are good at card drawing and ramping.
Yeah.
And like, if you're trying to dig through your deck and find your bombs, which we're all trying to do in this format, that is the color pair that is normally the best at doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be very potent.
Yeah. So I agree. I'm excited about Simek. If I happen to open up some sweet Simek cards, I'll be adapting with the best of them. Although Orzhov, you know, flavor-wise, I love what Orzhov is up to.
I would agree with you. Yeah. But they play into a very specific deck. However, with the right pool, it's the kind of deck that can drive you right into a top 8 real early. We've mentioned often in this podcast how aggression in the early format and consistency is something. Rakdos, I think, can get there real easy if you have the pool for it. Now, before we jump into Rakdos,
we want to talk about the real aggressive guild.
Yeah, the one that plays well with Simek is Gruul. Yeah. Gruul is going to be my pick for, I think, most of the pre-releases I'm going to do
of course.
This weekend, just because they play well with both Simek and Rakdos, right? And the fact that you give 50% of your creatures immediately have haste in your pool, and their new enchantment, which is at an uncommon level, the Fires of Yavimaya, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I call it Giddy Up.
Yeah, it's the
Giddy Up.
The best part about it is the line of text on it that's like, can't be countered. A lot of people are just like, hey, it gives riot. No, the first thing it does is saying that every creature you play for the rest of the game can't be countered. You know, that's huge. It's huge. So automatically that plus riot, huge. So, riot ability, choice, +1/+1 counter, or haste, right? So, it's one of those situations where you have a choice, but the choice is generally obvious, right? Open board, haste. Trade, easy trade or bad blocks, haste. Every other time, +1/+1 counter, right? Especially in our format, like you've come up against me in many of my decks where I've just played efficiently costed vanilla creatures and slammed because there was no answer to it, you know? 3 cost 4/4s, 4 cost 4/4s. Well, now, if you look at the riot curve, every single creature, if you take the +1/+1 counter, becomes an efficiently costed creature. It either becomes a 3 cost 4/4 or a 4 cost 5/5 or a 5 cost 6/6 or whatever. Like it's... like that's the way they lined it up, obviously for design reasons. But every time you take the +1/+1 counter, you're just getting pure efficiency. Like it's the most pure efficiency I've ever seen in a set. And it just gets me pumped up. Those are my colors. You wanted to talk about my colors? I'm pure Gruul. Green, red? Pure Gruul. Love it.
You splash blue for the fun.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick my personal guild, a lot of people say I'm Izzard because I'm just crazy like that. But in this set, I'm Gruul. I'm going in the Gruul. All right. Any comments on Gruul, or did I just nail it?
No, I mean, given what we've seen the whole set, it's just like you said. It's just pure value all the way through. You might not be lucky enough to open it, and I mean, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. It just looks fantastic. Yeah, you got burn, you got some ramp, you got utility creatures. Yeah, it's everything you want to be in limited.
Yeah, I will say this: the power level of the Gruul bombs, I think, are going to be very disparate. So you pull the worm, which is riot and fight. Very nice. Okay. If you pull the legendary dryad or whatever centaur who doubles your mana, but you can't cast non-creature spells anymore in our format, I think that unless you build around it amazingly, it's going to be terrible. Okay. You know, Domri, the planeswalker. Yeah. Amazing. You know, so but actually the Gruul Spellbreaker is also pretty great. The split card though, that only destroys flying creatures, you know, it seems like a downside to me, but it plays into those colors. I've started running Plummet's main deck in other leagues, so you know I won't not play it, but it feels underpowered compared to like the other split cards and everything like that. So,
but that's a pretty minor criticism, for what looks to be an incredibly compelling color combination and mechanic. Yeah. Moving on to Spectacle, which is what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The Spectacle triggers when you've done damage to another player. There's ways to do that through combat. There's other trickier ways to get it done.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not going to be hard to activate that.
No. So the idea is the best way to activate it is prior to combat, right? Because so there's two parts of this to me. One, the best cards in the set that I've seen so far is, once again, this efficiency idea. So there's a bolt, a sorcery speed bolt. It costs 1 if you've dealt the damage, or 3 for regular. Now, 3 for 3 damage anywhere is usually pre-removal in our format.
Yeah, limited,
yeah, exactly. In limited format,
limited.
Even in our format, you know, I'm playing terrible 2 for 2 damages at sorcery speed in our current league, and
sure,
you know,
you're happy to do it. You're happy to reality.
I'm happy to do it. You know,
yeah.
But 3 for 3 is very good.
It's a solid rate.
But playing it for 1 is where you really get the advantage.
Yep.
There's a rare demon that's just absurd. It's a 4/4 flying for 4.
Oh, yeah.
If you can play it for 3, even more absurd. There's enablers. The one that I saw was... this is what I'm talking about when we were talking about Afterlife earlier. The enablers are at the low end of the curve. So there's an enabler. I think it's just a goblin pinger of some sort. It's a 0/1 for 1.
Oh, yeah. It hits players, right?
Yeah. So if you turn 1 that and then turn 2 that, you've just enabled Spectacle for the rest of the game, you know? Whereas Afterlife enablers are up the curve. So...
Well, Afterlife payoffs. Afterlife doesn't need an enabler.
Well, the enablers are the sack creatures with Afterlife.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So they're up the curve. They're up the curve. The payoffs are at the low end of the curve, right?
Right. I get you.
Yeah. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be absolutely absurd. I think someone is going to have just the nuts pool for it. I think it's going to be the scariest guild to answer to. I think. And
it's going to be, in terms of flavor, it's certainly the funnest.
Yeah.
Like everything else is like dour and serious.
Yeah.
Whereas in the previous
circus,
set, we had Izzard was a kind of crazy guild, and then Golgari's kind of funky.
Yeah.
There's a couple boring guilds, but like there's a bit more like wackiness.
This is the Izzard of this set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the wacky one.
This is the wacky one. This is the weird value readiness. I will say this though, with the exception of the 2-drop red card, I can't remember what it is. But it allows you, basically, it has a spectacle of 4, and if you play it for its spectacle cost, you discard your hand and draw 3.
Oh, yeah.
And if not, you just loot. With the exception of that one, all the ones that up the cost are bad value. I'm saying it right now. I would not play any spectacle card. Like, obviously you'll have to, if in our format, because of the 60 cards, you kind of have to force some nonsense sometimes.
You have to.
And
it's fun to do.
Yeah, it's fun to do. Yeah. But I think this is probably the only format where you're going to get a little bit of value from the up-costed ones.
Right.
But I think generally speaking, paying more, there's no effect that's worth it in the set.
So don't hold back.
Just like it plays counterintuitively to what the game plan is. It seems like they were like, oh, this is a cool design space. You can go up or down, but also here's all the enablers that want you to push down and be super aggressive. You know, like they didn't build in late game plans into the upcosted ones. They built their late game plans into the enablers. So like one of my favorite cards, we've actually been kind of just touching on all the uncommons, which I think is like our wheelhouse in the league. Yeah. Fireblade Artisan, the 2-cost red-black, 2/2, haste. At the beginning of upkeep, you can sack a creature to deal 2 damage to an opponent or a planeswalker they control.
Right.
Like, to me, that just screams reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're playing in an aggressive, even if you're playing in an Afterlife deck, you know, it turns something that's a 3/3 with Afterlife 2 for 5 mana into essentially a 3/3 that equates to 6 damage over 3 turns, right? Which can be a lot of pressure if the guy has no way of removing your 2/2 and you're hiding behind a wall, you know? And that I recently watched the pre-release that was on.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing.
8 hours?
8 hours of loading, ready, run.
You were a maniac.
And I can't remember her name. But there was someone who was playing a deck around Hero of the Guild Pack or something. It's basically a 1 colorless, 1 white. Every time you play a multicolored spell, you get a 1/1 social.
Yep.
Well, they played 2.
The young pyromancer.
Yeah. But for multicolored, right?
Yeah.
And they were playing 2 guild Fireblade Artisans. And then every time they would play a multicolored either Orzhov or Rakdos spell, they'd get a 1/1, which they could then sack for 2 damage to fake. And the pressure was unbelievable, you know? So I can see that being a huge payoff in both those, and pretty much the only way those two guilds play well together. So uncommons are really, I think, going to dictate this league to me.
Yeah.
Early league anyways. The first few weeks.
Yeah. And throughout. I mean, here's the thing. We want to talk about the last mechanic, but then we're going to talk about sort of general strategies for what we should add.
Yeah.
And how to complement these mechanics and these color combinations. Yeah. But before we get there, let's go to Addendum. Addendum's the weird one out. Like, doesn't really have much in common thematically, except that it's a mechanic that's tied to instants, and you have to play them during a main phase to get some extra effect. And the extra effect is highly variable.
Ranges from gain 2 life to draw a card to all sorts of stuff.
I feel like once again, like, you're not going to be building your deck necessarily on a heavy instants and sorceries theme in this format. Usually the bread and butter of league play is creatures first and foremost.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is going to be more like a spice. I feel like if you've got some good flyers in white-blue, and you have a couple powerful random addendum spells, you chuck them in for flavoring and for power, but you don't really build an addendum deck in this format.
Yeah. Well, one thing that can be said about Azorius as a guild without the mechanic is that they have a lot of these +1 or -1 creatures on flyers, right? So they have the Drake that gives all other creatures +1 with flying +1/+0.
That's right.
And then they have the, I think it's either a Sphinx or a Knight of some sort that's flying. It's blue-white that gives -1/-0 to all opponents' creatures.
That's right.
So putting those kinds of abilities on flying bodies in our format is real nice because it generally gives you more efficient blocks. Having a flyer is always good.
Yep.
And I think that
gums up the ground while you win in the air.
Exactly. You know, and in terms of efficiency, it shuts down a lot of abilities like Afterlife and all that type of stuff. I will say this though, Addendum, I was listening to, I've been doing my research, man. I've been listening to all the podcasts.
You're the strategy guy.
So
I'm the announcements guy.
LSV, Limited Resources, they did they haven't done their set review yet, but they did their, kind of mechanics thing, what we're doing right now. And I had to agree with exactly what he said is most of the instants are playable on their own. 4 mana, Sphinx's Insight, 4 mana, 2 colors, 1 blue, 1 white, draw 2 cards, instant speed is great. You know, it's Chemist's Insight with no jumpstart. However, what I will say about our format, which caught my attention, is that we often get to parity. There's a lot of times where you'll have games where you'll blow out a guy or you'll blow out, but we kind of get to parity and we're digging for our bombs and like playing games this weekend, I noticed I'm like, I have an excess of mana. You know, I played my bombs, I played my removal. We're both into 1/2 card mode, top decking to try and get to it.
Yep.
Well, in those situations, Addendum is great because you're always getting the upside, regardless of what it is. Draw an extra card, gain extra life, because you have the resources to be like, I can commit the 4 mana now and I still have 9 mana to spend, you know?
Right.
And how many times have you played a game that you've been like, man, I'm flooded, I'm just top decking, trying to get that card, you know? Playing an addendum that gains you 6 life or taps down a creature for a turn or something that buys you is just extra value. And whereas intuitively you would be like, oh, in a constructed deck, I want to play it at instant speed to get the value and all that type of stuff and play control. In our deck where you're playing 6 counter spells in a 60 card deck, you're just like, I don't care about keeping it up.
Right.
And if I do care about keeping it up, I have the mana anyways to do both, you know?
Right.
And that's why I think it's impactful on our format is because generally speaking, if you have the mana to cast the addendum, you will, you know? So that was my little league insight that I saw as soon as I saw that mechanic and I was listening to the podcast. I was like, it's true. Like how many times in Limited with a 60 card deck, we tend to load a bit, especially in the early, tend to load with mana to make sure we're more consistent.
Yeah. And after, you tell you what, you know, in our format even, after getting caught out a few times, trying to play instant speed removal, I end up playing it at sorcery speed just to be careful, you know, just to make sure you kill the
artful takedown.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Greedy plays, right?
Yeah, greedy plays.
And so, you know, this rewards safe plays.
Yeah.
Which is very Azorius.
Yeah, which is very Azorius.
Very flavorful. They're the safe play team.
And I think we'll find there was some bent combos that I'm not going to reveal just yet, but I think that we'll find that they play a lot better.
Something for next episode.
Yeah. Well, once I build the deck and crush everybody with it.
After week one.
After
you're on the top of the pops, then you...
be like, hey, here's my bent deck. By the way, I rebuilt and I opened Jason Mindsculpt.
It's too late, but... Here's how I did it. Yeah. Right? It's like a master criminal after you've robbed the bank. Here's how I did it.
Yes. Genius. But
too late now.
For the people who want to do the research, there is a Bant combo that's pretty aggressive and it's very interesting. Okay. It's very, very interesting. And it has to do with a couple of like adapt creatures and, like just costs, the reduction and all that type of stuff. That's pretty great. And not to mention there's the one cost blue Drake hybrid whatever from Simek that costs less to adapt for every instant or sorcery in your graveyard. Yeah. Well, Azorius is playing a lot of instants and sorceries.
It's almost like they've baked in some cross-guild synergies.
It's true. It's weird. Nice design space.
Yeah.
And I will say this for blue-white, with all these afterlife pieces, they have the most pacify cards. Okay. With 2. So, and that ability, I believe, is very strong in a situation where you're like, you want a creature to die, or you want a creature to, or removing threat of activation. Like we said, a creature with adapt, if you pacify, who cares about adapt, you know? So that kind of stuff, I think is going to be real strong in Azorius. And I think a lot of people are kind of counting it down to the lower end because of the addendum issue. Yeah. And I think it might actually be in the mid-range, third or fourth best guild.
Okay. So, well, given that we've talked about the set-specific mechanics, let's talk a little bit about League as a format and what kind of strategies you'll apply to adding packs when the time comes. Nobody has ever made the top 8 of a league and not added a punishment pack. Let it be known.
Never.
And never. Never in the history of the thing. So here's...
I know what to strive for.
That's the next record to be broken, perhaps. But here's the thing. You need to figure out early where you're going to go. And I'm thinking that this set, like, the Guilds of Ravnica, it's going to be highly parasitic. You're going to want to stay in Ravnica Allegiance for most of your packs. Yeah. And simply because that's going to have the best payoffs for your color combination, whatever those happen to be in your first 6 packs. Yeah. But, that being said, there's going to be some possible directions to go in. Yeah. And I've sketched them out for the following.
All right, lay it on me.
All right, so if you open up an Orzhov or Simek, I'm going to say that you go back to Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan.
Okay, so I will...
Disagree.
Not disagree.
Okay.
I will say, if you open an Orzhov, you go back to Ixalan, primary.
Yeah.
If you open a Azorius, go back to Rivals.
Because of...
the Blue-White Ascend deck.
Okay.
So,
yeah, Ascend was a good mechanic.
Yeah. So, I was playing a lot of draft during these formats, and MTG Arena has allowed us to replay some of those formats.
Interesting. You mentioned Arena. We'll come back to that.
But one of the things that I've noticed and I've started to apply to League is, where League is a hybrid of constructed and limited, taking archetypes from limited and building them into your league, baking them into your league deck is not a terrible idea.
No.
So knowing what was playable back then and being like, hey, this color combination works, there was blue-green Merfolk in both Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan, so I agree with you on the Simek. But I found the best blue-white limited formats in the last year or two was the Ascend deck and the Historic deck from Dominaria. So that's where I would be heading if I opened that. And for black-white, it was definitely primary Ixalan with the vampires. But I would suggest Dominaria with the black-white knights was very strong.
Yeah, it was.
And they had a lot of sack payoffs, like the fungal Thalid Omnivore, which was like they had some of the better sack payoffs because of the Omnivores.
Yes, that's true.
And a lot of token generation. So, whereas you were saying, like, where's the support? That's a set that's just chock full of it, both in black, green, and white, Like,
true.
So that would have been my insight in that regard.
How about if you open something like, we talked about all the other guilds, but what if you open Gruul or Rakdos? Where would you go?
So Gruul, I would be going back to, I think Ixalan is going to be a premium set this time around.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't last time?
No, it wasn't, because it was so parasitic on the tribes.
It is, but this time we get a lot of the tribes from those sets with the vampires and the merfolk and like that. And I think Gruul, Gruul wants to play with +1/+1 counters, which Ixalan does very well.
True.
There's a lot of green spells that target a merfolk and something else, or target any creature. It's a merfolk that comes into ability, targets something else, or etc. Plus, the green-red dinos in that set are very powerful, even at common and uncommon level.
True.
So, putting Riot, a +1/+1 counter, or haste on even like one that's a 2/2 or the 3/4 that fetches you lands or stuff like that, that can be just absurd, So I think Ixalan kind of fits the bill for every guild we're getting here, except like I said, primary Ixalan doesn't really fit with Azorius. Blue-white was not a thing back then. They kind of compensated into the second set, like back when they were doing big block, small block.
Yeah. So very interesting.
It's very
interesting. Some of the sort of like mass damage stuff that was happening back then to trigger Enrage, probably also trigger Spectacle.
Yeah, it's true. So Rakdos, I think I would go to Dominaria primarily.
Okay.
Just because you had a lot of black-red kind of synergies with goblins and stuff like that. I think I would also go... See, we're in an interesting format too right now. Like, I don't want to go crazy into this at all in terms of the detail, but where we have rivals of Ixalan, because we rotated out Kaladesh and all that. We have rivals Ixalan, which are the same block. Then we have like Dominaria and Core, which are standalone blocks.
Right.
And Dominaria was almost kind of a core set on its own. It was. It was a lot of legendary creatures. It was a lot of single cards. You could go pretty much every spaces. Oh, yeah. It was very, very standalone. So we have like these two standalone sets. Then we have a guild set, which doesn't synergize well with the other guild set. So it's also kind of a standalone set.
Yeah.
And then we have this. So if you're looking for synergies, this is why I'm saying Ixalan Rivals might be a good place to go to up your power level, because if you can get those synergies, that's where you're going to look. Everything else is like, okay, I'm in black-white, I'm looking for good creatures, or I'm looking for good removal. I'm going to go to Dominaria, just get good removal, everything like that. You're not going to find those synergies, but you're going to get your value, right? But if you're going to look for like the incremental wins, the synergy wins, the things that the people are like, man, that's absurd, how did you get so strong? I would go stick into Allegiance or go Rivals and Ixalan, depending on my colors.
Okay, let's move now to our final note, which is that Arena occurred in 2018. It took over the scene. I've finally given into peer pressure. I've tried it. It may well be the future of Magic.
Oh no, paper forever, Chris.
Well, I am paper forever. I'm not gonna let up on paper, but I'm saying that it's a great tool for facilitating better play in paper.
Yeah.
Specifically, unlike Duels of the Planeswalkers, which came before Arena.
Yeah.
It was like the proto-Arena. The full set of every standard set is now available for free if you're willing to grind a bit.
Yeah.
On Arena. So that means we can build copies of our existing League decks, or try out new builds in a consequence-free environment, try them against each other or against, strangers who are playing standard decks.
Yeah.
And sort of really hone your deck to a point where we really haven't had the luxury to do that before, unless you were on Magic Online. And if you were on Magic Online, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. You just gave me an idea.
Oh, to use Arena to practice for League?
No. I said other thing.
Another idea.
We'll finish what you were saying.
I'm done.
You're done. Okay.
I'm just saying this is a great new technology.
Yeah.
We can use it. I'm not saying that paper's dead. What I'm saying is that Arena is a great new electronic technology for freely trying out new League builds.
I'm going to make a suggestion, because I know that a lot of podcasts do this already with their Patreon subscribers, and we're way far away from that. We're a sponsored podcast.
We pay you to listen.
We pay you to listen. We're a sponsored podcast, face-to-face games, sponsored, unofficially sponsored.
Thanks to Face-to-Face Games. Thanks to David Grounds for being a great editor.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I know recently one of the things that's come up is that the chat that we use, because we use Facebook chat to talk and organize games,
yes,
has been a place has been kind of cluttered. too much spoilers. People want to organize games, everything. Maybe we should start a Discord chat.
This has been floated before.
Yeah, because like have different groups where you can be like, here's the spoilers. I want to play Arena with you. Let's get commander groups together and keep the Facebook chat purely for like making games and giving records and trash talk, you know, like those three things. But having we're scaling up. We need a place to talk, you know.
You want to do this?
I could probably make it happen.
There you go. Next time
we go, we'll put up the official Discord for
Ravnican Allegiance.
For all MTG face-to-face league stuff. We'll make it happen. Sounds good.
Exciting.
All right. Well, you saw that I was super motivated today. My brain has been going a mile a minute.
Yeah.
2019 looks to be an exciting year for League.
A brand new start.
Powerhouse. A whole new world. So, want to thank you guys for listening. Once again, thank you, Dave Grunas, for being best editor that we could ask for or afford. You know? And we want to thank Face to Face Games for sponsoring our league and for giving us a place to play and helping us out with all of our promotion. So,
keep it real. We'll see you next time. Next time we talk will probably be around 2 weeks. You'll just open up your starting pools, and we'll talk a bit about early league strategies.
Yeah, and where to take it and how we're feeling. So,
all right.
Keep on leaguing.